The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain. Tucson's favorite family show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Homeless Veteran Transition Program, Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Pastor John McClain, here with my celebrity guest co-host, Cassandra Prieto, with Lifting You Up with Cassandra Prieto.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's my best, like, trying to say pronounce it correctly.
It sounds exactly right.
Okay, good. Even though that gift certificate's still yours, just so you know.
Oh God,
just so
thank
you know. You can have
goodness!
it.
I was hoping you got it wrong.
I don't have to butcher your name like I will our first guest somehow every single time. But as you know, Cassandra, this would not be the Common Good Radio Show if I did not give grace to a very loving God that makes this all possible. Usually I do that with the Lord's Prayer, so I'm gonna do that again, and it goes a little something like this. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
So that being said, we have our first guest. A fast friend for sure. Even though I feel that way with everybody in this studio right now, whether it be Martin, the associate producer of the show, or Billy, our buddy in the corner, who we'll have later in the show, or obviously Cassandra, who's amazing.
Yes.
She's everybody's fast friend. But again, another networking star in the community who, as soon as I met him, we hit it off great. And then as we got to know each other better, we realized, okay, this is a member of my team. This is a member of my tribe. Right. And I look forward to seeing where this goes. And here we are. He's really kind of filled me in more and more on actually, I have to read it every single time because I'll mess it up. Hope Dealers Global. And not only have I seen, okay, from a consumer standpoint, how does this benefit just, John Q. Public, but how does it benefit somebody running an apartment complex or somebody staying in an apartment complex? And today we're going to discuss with Hope Dealers Global, how does it help somebody, how does it help a small business owner, or how does it help a medium-sized business owner, or someone here? We got Cassandra Prieto here in the studio, who is not only in real estate, but is has her hands in a lot of different little cookie jars there.
Right.
What
are the different ways that Hope Dealers Global can help her?
Well, when you talk about cookie jars, we have lots of cookies. We have lots of cookies.
Yay.
So where we would be helping out like a realtor or an entrepreneur that's doing looking to open or has an existing small or medium-sized business, we help them in their fixed costs. And what I mean by that, operational costs that you cannot pay off and you're always going to need. So a good example of that would simply be healthcare.
Okay.
So a lot of small businesses struggle with the high cost of healthcare right now. Mm-hmm. It's unaffordable in some cases, or it's very restrictive. Mm-hmm. And so we offer an alternative, a privatized healthcare model that looks, acts, and feels just like insurance. What it does for our small businesses is, one, it makes them more competitive in the space. Mm-hmm. And so if they're struggling to find or recruit the right staff that they're looking for, right employees, or extremely high level talent, now they have something to be competitive with other companies like theirs. The beauty of the model is that the cost is 30 to 50% less than traditional insurance, and we can cover up to 49 people. Mm-hmm. So for a small business that has 49 employees or below, we offer them 30 to 50% cost reduction in their healthcare costs. They have open networks, open enrollment, no need for COBRA if they leave, and they can actually take this product with them.
That's
so
beautiful.
the employer doesn't own it, the employee owns it.
Right.
Yeah, just so you guys know, I'm going to sit back for 5 minutes because the last time, Jeremy, I had you on the show, Cassandra literally almost like called me because she's like, I have so many questions to ask Jeremy that I didn't get the chance to ask because she was actually just a guest on the show last time. So fire away, Cassandra. I'm gonna kick my feet up.
So I get the healthcare part. Is there a lot of other different resources that you have just as even for a small, you said starting with about 49 or up to 49 people outside of healthcare? What other, I love that you can take it. That's so beautiful. And I've seen that only in like the insurance, like life insurance, right? Where it all belongs to the actual employer. When you leave, that COBRA will just, oh my God, it goes off the roof, and then you lose your life insurance policy if you don't have your own. What other resources outside of that do you offer? Well,
the beauty of it is what we help the business owners do is leverage all those operating expenses and convert it into monetized income. Okay. So what I'll do is healthcare is one in particular, but let's talk about merchant processing. Okay. So if you're a contractor, a restaurant, a beauty salon, and you have a lot of merchant processing fees, we can actually show you how to reduce those costs and actually convert it into a monetized income stream.
Tell me how. I want to understand how.
So the way that we do is we partner with a national company. It's been around for 32 years. The merchant processing example I'm talking about, the way that works is that you would turn around and we would do an analysis. I do that for free, so there's no cost for any of this. I sit down and I'll go through all of their fixed cost line items that we can help them with. HR and payroll, merchant processing, all of those healthcare, those are things we can help with that are the large ticket items that business owners struggle with actually paying and also being competitive with. So in the merchant processing space, I sit down with them, I do an analysis with my team. They will take a look at where they can give them the best value as far as the plans themselves and as far as percentages go. Now, if they want to monetize it, they can literally work with me on that side of it, and I can show them how not to just be the consumer, but also be the middleman in acquiring the the commissionable revenue off the bill. So imagine you're a contractor swiping credit cards, and you're having to charge 3% to your client, and the client obviously doesn't like that. Well, what we teach them to do is don't charge the 3%. It is a taxable expense that your business incurs, but now we show you how to monetize that 3% that you were passing to the consumer and to bring it back around to you.
The tax credit.
Not as a tax credit, as a residual income piece.
Whoa.
Completely outside,
so it's got a whoa out of Cassandra.
Whoa. Okay, that blew my mind.
Right, just blew your mind. That's why our model is unique. It's been around 32 years, and we have no competition in the nation.
Every time I talk to you, I always, like, my inventor brain goes off, and it's just like, man, I wish I would have invented this first.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the question that I pose to business owners is that if this was a residual bill, why haven't you converted it to residual income?
Yeah, that would make total sense.
So when I see restaurants that are failing and going out of business here in the Tucson community, that hurts a lot because I came from the restaurant industry years ago and I understand how they operate. And generally, a lot of times, if I can get in front of them when they're early on, starting onboarding, I can help them get that foundation set so they can weather those tough times. I mean, restaurants themselves have very small profit margins. And so everything, in a restaurant is super important.
I have time for one more question.
30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds. What is the biggest need that you see that's the most glaring I know that there's a ton, but the most simple and glaring need that you see for more businesses?
Healthcare.
Healthcare? Okay.
Healthcare, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, just in, your everyday person. I want to think that's kind of...
And that's what they're not taking advantage of, too. Like, it's not only just to become competitive as an employer, but also there are so many benefits to them on the taxes or what did you call it? To monetize it?
Yeah.
There are ways to monetize it in addition to helping out your employees. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Most owners don't have health insurance.
Yeah.
So that's already a risk to the business.
How can people utilize your services?
Oh, please feel free to call me, 520-891-8210. June, we'll be launching lots of events. We have new social media presence and websites coming out, so stay tuned for that. But if you need to, 520-891-8210, and I'd love to talk to you.
Jeremy Silverman, my friend.
You got it.
Thank you.
Yay.
That's Jeremy Silverman with Hope Dealers Global. Thank you once again, brother.
Hey, thanks again, you guys.
And as always, we want to thank our partners, Proper Villains for Tucson, We Care, Tucson 100 Plus Guys Who Give, White Stallion Ranch, Tucson Tool Shop, Dontel Dust Landscaping, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing, Hope Dealers Global, CB2PJ, and Pep Inc. This is the Common Good Radio Show brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Pastor John McClain here with your favorite local realtor, Cassandra Prieto, with Lifting You Up with Cassandra Prieto on
92.5 Urbana FM.
Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Also check out the Common Good Radio Show on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Tiki-Taki, Smoke Signal, all of them. We'll be right back.
The Common Good Radio Show. The Common Good Radio Show. Brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. Highlighting the good in the community. Hosted by Pastor John McClain, Tucson's favorite family show.
Welcome to the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I am Cassandra Prieto, super excited to be here and be the co-host of Pastor John McClain. And we have a very special guest today, Billy Hill with Tucson Tool Shop. How is everybody?
We're doing good. Yeah, absolutely. Especially with that type of intro.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Billy, remind us, what is Tucson Tool Shop?
It is a new and used tool store with almost everything that you can imagine.
You're always so humble with it. I love that about you. You're just, it's just such
That
like a sweet,
is.
humble fellow.
Uh-huh.
But the Tucson, to give a less humble explanation of the Tucson Tool Shop,
Little less
it is the pillar tool shop in Tucson. Like it is, if there is a foundational tool shop, there's plenty of big box shops, and there's plenty of, great tool shops in Tucson, I'm sure. But when it comes to what is the foundational tool shop, like what is Tucson's tool shop, that is Tucson Tool Shop, because most people that grew up in Tucson have driven by this place
Yes.
hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of times. They're on Grant, just east of Stone, because, and Billy's told the story so many times here. It was once known as Kent's Tools, and Billy himself actually worked at Kent's Tools prior to deciding that he was going to continue to carry this torch like the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
and
awesome.
rebrand that, put a little spit polish on the Kent's Tools, and what became Tucson Tool Shop, and now a little shinier signage that you'll see as you're on the north side of the road as people are driving on Grant. So I think that's a little bit. Is that correct? Is that all right? That's about
That's
right.
good. Yeah, I like that.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So, but I always love having you on the show, Billy. Other than the fact that you're my bud, is that the tool shop is very interesting employment, one, and definitely it's an interesting business to own.
Yeah.
So every time I have you on, I learn so much about it, and I learned a lot about you. I think a couple episodes ago we talked about how you're a baseball star and kind of.
Baseball star.
He was a baseball star. Yeah, absolutely. A
Oh,
pitcher. What was your
okay.
fastest
didn't
pitch?
say-
95 miles per hour, right?
yeah.
What was it?
Yeah.
So he was great. He was a great guy. He's a great guy. I love this guy. He's humble. He's humble. Someone's got to
Very
brag
humble.
about you, Billy.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to brag about you.
Yeah.
So, but before we started, we were talking about how did you even find tools? Were you like a tool enthusiast? Were you like the kid, like I was into comics? Were you the kid at the Tool Con when you were 8 years old that was like harassing the vendors, or what? How did that work? All in all, and as we're kind of unfurling it, you definitely were more mechanical and more into that stuff than I was. Like my dad, like we were telling the story, my dad was a military intelligence officer, and a Spanish linguist, so it has nothing to do with mechanics whatsoever. So he taught me, ride it till the wheels fall off, and if it's broken, you pay somebody else to fix it. But you were telling me you had a different experience mechanically growing up. Tell me a little bit about your experience working with stuff and working with tools as a kid.
Well, yeah, in San Manuel, Mammoth, and Oracle, there's not a lot of help to do things like that, and my dad's always been the kind to just rather work on it ourselves and teach somebody how to do it than call and pay somebody. So,
I wish my dad was like that, by the way.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, so I mean, it started on my first car. We rebuilt the engine together, and we were always working on something, building sheds in the backyard or playgrounds and trampolines and just always working on things and playing with tools. But I didn't know how much I enjoyed it and that I was going to end up doing it for a living. Until I started working with Kent and Sally and Butch. Kind of just fell in love with it and started learning as much as I could.
And from what I remember, my memory is not the best between my TBI and just ADHD, like the butterfly. But I think you said you worked there for like 14 years, something along those lines, or like 14 years ago you started working there. How many years ago?
13. 13 in like November.
Give or take.
Yeah.
So in working, and how long into working there did you realize, like, I could actually dig this? This is kind of like, this is my groove. Like, I'm actually into this.
Well, it was pretty quick because I was only supposed to be there for like 2 weeks, just a temporary, helper until their person that was having surgery came back. And then after those 2 weeks were up, I got pulled into the office and I was like, all right, here, he's going to tell me thanks for your help. Have a nice day. But he said, well, that person's not coming back. So customers love you. You're doing a great job here. So if you want to hang out here until you find something else to do, we'd love to have you. And I never left.
13 years later.
Yeah, 13 years later.
A question. So as far as those 13 years that you spent there that you shared with us about, I'd love to hear, what was the biggest highlight of, what did you enjoy the most? Is there something specific about the interaction with clients, what they were looking for? You're just a presence there. What did you enjoy the most?
That's my favorite part of the job is helping people and talking to customers, and sometimes problem solving. This tool was designed or made to do this, but you can also use it in this way for your problem that you're having, and just things like that. That's my favorite part, is talking to people on the phone or being out in front and helping people find stuff.
And also with the background and understanding of knowledge that you have growing up. I want to go back to that car. I want to ask you more about why. Tell me, that was your first car. How did it feel to actually rebuild the engine to be able to use it? Did you guys buy it and then say, until we build it, I can use it? What was the story behind it?
Well, it was my fault that it got broken in the first place.
Yeah, that happens. That happens.
Yeah, me and a couple lineman buddies were cruising around and accidentally jumped it.
For the radio listening audience, he did air quotes on that one.
Yeah. So we accidentally jumped it 2 or 3 times.
Whoa.
And so it was quite fun. We had a lot of fun until I went to drive it home and it wouldn't work again. So that was not so fun.
Yeah, interesting. I'm interested to hear your slew of questions, Cassandra, because you know more about tools than me, and I want to think you're more handy than me. But you also were part of the Ideal Institute, and you got your set of tools and that stuff with that. I'm interested to see your questions for a tool shop that maybe you haven't been into before.
Yeah.
In regards to how they could serve you.
So I love the fact you guys are local, right? We have all these big businesses, but for someone that has a tiny 6-month experience in construction school, I learned that there's different quality of tools, but I really would be even more excited to go to your store just to get that one-on-one that you mentioned, right? Because anybody could help you at the bigger stores, but like that personal touch, that local touch, and then just to understand the different types. And then you're also saying that you really advise. Like somebody can come in there and say, hey, I need this tool, and you're like, okay. You probably ask them for what is it, and you might need this something else, right? Is that kind of how you handle that?
Well, I mean, yeah. Sometimes people will come in with, a bolt or a nut and say, I need the tap or die that goes with this. I have no idea what size it is. Can you help me? And yeah, so I get out my measuring devices and find the right one and make it happen. And they're usually really, really happy with that.
And it's so intimidating. I mean, especially for a female, but it's so intimidating. There's so many different tools, so many different things that you can utilize that are same but different at the same time for specific situations. It's so, it's scary to go into some of those stores. So it's really cool to have someone local, someone that has the background and knowledge that you have, and that I could feel comfortable going in there, asking you any question and knowing that you're not just going to be like, yeah, here you go, that's what you're looking for. But hey, have you considered this alternative?
Yeah, and as you can tell, just to be in the studio with him, he's just a
super
guy,
easy
comfortable
guy
to be around, super nice, too humble for his own good. But anyways,
Seriously.
for people who want to utilize Tucson Tool Shop, how can they do that? Where are you located at, and how can they plug in?
133 East Grant Road, Grant, 1 block east of Stone on the north side of the road. You can get me at TucsonToolShop@gmail.com. We have an eBay store. You can call me at the shop at 520-624-8098. You can also call me on my cell phone at 520-633-5599.
Awesome.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Next time I need something, I'm going to be like, oh, I remember Billy. Call him. What do you think?
Hi, Billy Hale, Tucson Tool Shop. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next week. This is the Common Good Radio Show, brought to you by Veteran Rescue Mission. I'm Pastor John McClain, here with your favorite realtor, Cassandra Prieto.
Your
nothing
best
clever.
friend in real estate, and with lifting you up with Cassandra Prieto.
Wake up.